This is a Hot Pie Original.
And I've been asked about this often, and I want to get in the weeds of high school football because that'll make you close your eyes. Maybe close your eyes more than seeing me on TV. But a high school football recruit, I hate to sound like an old guy, but I'm an old guy. And this is the epitome of high school athletes becoming divas. That's what this is. A high school football player in the state of Texas, a blue chip recruit. In other words, that means the big football factories in this state. That's the University of Texas, the football factory, underachieving football factory, but a football factory. He's set to go. He's told the University of Texas he's going to come to Texas and he's going to get a scholarship. He's been offered a scholarship already. Technically, you can't agree to the terms yet. That he's going to sit out his senior season of high school football. He plays in suburban Houston, somewhere in Klein, the Klein School District, I think, to avoid injury and get ready for playing in college. Now, I think, like everything else that has trickled down in college sports and then high school sports, I think this is more with the NFL in mind because everything a high school recruit is about is with the NFL in mind. So you don't go to play at fill-in-the-blank football factory unless you have the NFL in mind. That is how they are sold on college campuses. They're not sold on the accounting department. Let's be clear about this. They're sold on getting you ready for the NFL. Is it a dangerous sales pitch? Is it a unethical sales pitch? You could argue that. Very few are going to get there. They don't belong in college anyway. But that's what this is, this sort of path is all about. And I assume it's going to start a trend. At some level, it's, the football science of this is not a terrible idea. Let me bore you with a little bit of football science that the NFL knows. This kid is a running back, which doesn't matter that much in the Big 12, but it doesn't matter that much in the NFL. So the science of the NFL is this. You have a finite number of plays. Certainly if you're carrying the ball a lot, you have a finite number of carries. And teams actually document and follow the process of how many carries because the science says, and this is true of, and you can just take a look at what happens. The science says X number of hits means diminishing returns. So the NFL, in a lot of ways, you're really living in 3 to 4 year cycles. That's about the lifespan of most players. And I'm not kidding when I say that. Now, most people know pro football. You know the Tom Brady's of the world, the Drew Brees, Dak Prescott, Patrick Mahomes. You know these, quarterbacks, wide receivers, but you don't quite fully appreciate that most of that roster, an NFL roster, is turned over every 3 to 4 years. So much of the NFL operates on these 3 to 4 year increments, especially if you're a running back. So at some scientific level, if this kid really believes one day he's going to be in the NFL, he's doing a smart thing and saying, you know what, I'm not going to use up my carries, i.e. abuse my body through my high school season where I'm probably going to have to carry the ball a lot. I'm going to carry this team, in fact. So I don't want to use those up. If he's thought through this, it's possible. And that is, look, I want to get to the NFL, and I know in the NFL, your life cycle is pretty short. So I want to minimize my carries now so I can get the most out of carries per dollar kind of thing. Now, I don't know that he's thought through it that way, but if he has, science is kind of on his side. That said, it's kind of pathetic, and it's going to become a trend. Here's a story out today by, I believe this is Yahoo Sports. Opting out or holding out has been a trend in college football and the NFL for years. Professionals will refuse to participate in off-season workouts or practices in hopes of a new contract. Take a step down, and NFL-ready players are skipping bowl games so a freak injury does not cause their draft stock to plummet, which makes perfect sense. There's no reason, if you're going to make a bunch of money in the NFL draft, And this started a few years ago, and a bunch of people that play JV football freaked out about it. It's a perfectly reasonable and smart thing to do. There's no reason, if I'm going to be a first-round draft pick in the NFL, and a lot of times guys don't know, but a lot of times they do know, there's no reason for me to go run the risk of an injury playing in the whatever Weed Eater Bowl. Why? No. They used me on this college program. I'm going to use them. I got out of it what I needed. I don't want to run the risk. And it makes perfect sense. Can you apply the same standard to high school is where we are now. Elite college football players opted out of the season to prepare for the draft. 4 of the top 10 picks in the 2021 draft were opt-outs. They said, screw it, I'm not playing. Look, I know people try to make football very complicated. It's not complicated. It is talent and staying healthy. Staying healthy and talent. There's football. So Father's Day is coming up. You're doing the gift boxes. Yep. So here's something that's certainly not a tie or a sweater or a pair of socks. Not a bad idea.
Well, I think it's great. If you don't know what to get your dad, get him some hot sauce. That way he can prove how much of a man he is, right? And this hot sauce will go great, and your dad will love it. So I think it makes a great gift box. You can go to our website and find those there. It come in packs of 4. It's a great box you just give to your dad and say, listen, here, Dad, thanks for being my dad. And it's not that sock that's just going to go in a drawer. It's not that gift card that's going to go in a wallet, never be used again. It's actually something he can share with his friends. And so I think it's a great idea.
All right, order a box now. It's atxhotsauce.com, atxhotsauce.com. It is a game of attrition. There are a lot of talented guys. There are not a lot of talented guys that last very long. There are not a lot of talented guys that can stay healthy. The game of pro football is 22 train wrecks every play. Or if you want to use a better term, car wrecks. It's that violent. You have a short shelf life. The secret is to try to stay healthy. That's it. That's what you're playing for. When you go to the NFL, the rule is you play for your next contract because your next contract makes you rich. The first one makes you pretty rich, but you want to live to the next, you want to survive to the next contract. There's an old saying, the guys say it all the time, you play for the next contract. If you can get to year 4 and 5, it's gold, man. It's gravy. So you try to stay healthy. So it makes perfect sense that guys would be doing all they can to miss out on risk. But at the high school level, here we go. For the first time at the high school level, a big name blue chip recruit opted out of their senior season to prepare for college football. Jaden Blue. That's like something out of Friday Night Lights. What a name. Jaden Blue is his name. Says he will focus on his academics and off-the-field training before enrolling in January. Steve Sarkisian, the head coach at Texas, said this, quote, I think this is bigger than the one individual. I think this is going to be something that we have to wrap our heads around. I do not think this is a one-off, one high school kid. This is somewhat of a trickle-down effect that we're dealing with from professionals to college athletes and now potentially at the high school level. It's a relatively big issue that we've got to start wrapping our brains around. I don't necessarily know what's good, what's bad, what's right, what's wrong as it pertains to the university, the individuals, the kids on our team, and their future in the NFL. Yeah, Steve Sarkisian, like any college coach. Now this is going to be interesting because they can't say anything. Remember, it's all about talented young players. You never want to offend a talented young player, so he can't. He has to walk that line. And it's going to be a real difficult thing in terms of rhetoric, how you handle it and what you say. You can't criticize this guy because someone else will go, don't worry, kid, we'll take care of you. At the same time, you have to show some sort of empathy for high school coaches who are now faced with the reality that they're star players on high school teams. That's, usually that carries the team, right? They have to face the reality that these star players are going to start sitting out because I believe this will be a trend. I will believe it is a more of a status trend than it is scientific trend. I can make this scientific argument for this guy. There's kids around this town that you can make a pretty scientific argument that says they've already proven how valuable they are. Why would they run the risk next year of getting hurt? Why not just spend the year training? That's what guys do with a lot of money. That's what guys do with agents. Their agents pay for the training. Wait. Uh-oh. Wait a minute. Who's paying for all this training? Because some 17-year-old doesn't know how to train. Some 17-year-old doesn't know how to train. When these guys skip out in college, you know what they're doing. Their agent is setting them up with trainers. They are turned into machines, day in, day out machines, expensive training machines. Who's training these high school kids? Where's the money coming from? Maybe he's got it, or maybe he really knows how to train on his own, but I doubt it. So my thoughts on this are, it's sad at some level. My gut reaction is it's sad. You're missing out on a lot of fun. I remember more high school games than I do college games. I mean, it's fun. It's a fun time. It's a fun time to play the game. It is a relatively stress-free time in your life to play the game. You just play, and when you're really good, it's a lot of fun because you're a lot better than everyone else. So that's kind of sad. I mean, it's kind of a sad thing to miss out on. But he's not thinking that way. He's thinking 4 years down the road, and 4 years down the road is not his senior year at Texas. He's thinking it's his first year playing for fill in the blank. 2, if he stays in shape, it's not that big of a deal. It's not. Football's not complicated. Don't ever make it complicated. So, and running back is really not very complicated. It's not science, or it's not rocket science. So, I mean, if the guy found a way to stay in shape and stay healthy, it's not that big of a deal in terms of him being prepared. You know, guys that skip out in the college game for a season, they get trainers, they hire dietitians. You know, they begin to train like an NFL player, and it's very expensive, but they have agents that finance that stuff. So I don't know who's going to train this guy or any other. Someone eventually will figure it out and say, hi, I'm here to train you as you skip out in your senior year of high school football. But it's expensive. 3, it's going to be a trend, and I think it's going to be a trend less because of the science and more because of the status. And that is, it's going to be cool among the elite football crowd, particularly in the state of Texas and in the South. You remember, high school football is most of the talented players are coming out of the South. It's a Southern kids game, largely. So I think it's going to become a status symbol. In other words, I get to skip out. I'm skipping my senior year. Wow, if that blue chipper's skipping his senior year, I need to skip my senior year too, because that's cool. I want to get talked about. I want to do TikTok videos about me skipping out. I want to do TikTok videos of me working out. It's going to be a status symbol. It is going to be unnecessary for most high school players, and it's going to be a really tough spot for high school football coaches. And they're going to depend on TikTok. They're going to depend on college coaches to say, please stop this, and college coaches are not going to be able to stop it. But I think it's going to be a status symbol. And that's going to be lame.